Good day, everyone. Last time, we heard the first part of Brother Eli's discussion on God's intent in establishing the church. He began by clarifying two important things. First, that the word church does not actually refer to a structure or an edifice as often taught by many, because in its truest sense, the word church refers to an assembly or a congregation of believers. And second, that the church came into existence only during the time of our Lord Jesus Christ. Brother Eli explained that the church was already in existence even during the time of Moses, and he even called it as the church in the wilderness, as written in Acts 7:37-38. Which was referring to the Israelites that Moses led out of Egypt. Hebrew 12:23, on the other hand, called it as the church of the firstborn, which also referred to Israel in Exodus 4:22. As pointed out by Brother Eli, God willed it that the congregation of Israel, which was also called the church in the wilderness and the church of the firstborn, was the very first nation that served the real God. But the question is, if the church was already in existence as early as the time of Moses, what are the surrounding circumstances that would explain why our Lord Jesus Christ said, "Upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it," as written in Matthew 16:18. Considering the unparalleled fortune and privileges that had been given to Israel, as mentioned in Romans 9:4-5 and 2 Kings 5:15, what could have happened to Israel which prompted Christ's pronouncement in Matthew 16:18? As written in Jeremiah 32:31-33, there came a time when the Israelites provoked God to anger because of their iniquities. They turned their backs against him, and they became very disobedient to the point of worshiping other gods. And this was given confirmation in 2 Chronicles 15:3, which says that, "For a long season now, Israel has been without the true God, and without a teaching priest, and without law." Brother Eli explained that after the leadership of Moses and the faithful kings and the judges, Israel became a subject to tyrannical and cruel shepherds, as written in Ezekiel 34:2-5. Instead of feeding the flocks, the shepherds fed themselves. They did not look after the welfare of the flock. They did not heal the sick. They did not bind that which was broken, and they did not bother to look for those that had gone astray. As a result, the sheep were scattered and became prey to all beasts. But the good news was that God would not let his chosen people to scatter forever. There shall come a time when he shall once again gather his people together, and he shall build again what had fallen. And the intent had been prophesied in Amos 9:11, which says, "In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will build it as in the days of old." The tabernacle of David that had fallen, which the Lord will raise, is symbolic of the first church, or the congregation of Israel, that had been scattered. And this was the very church that our Lord Jesus Christ was referring to in Matthew 16:18. He would not be building another church. He would just be building again the church that had fallen. And when he builds it again, he gave an assurance that it would be indestructible, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. But the next question that we have to resolve is, how would God build the ruins of the tabernacle of David? What would he do to rebuild it? All this and more as Brother Eli tackled the history of the church in the Bible in this edition of our program. And for us to begin our discussion, let me now turn you over to the only sensible preacher in our time, Brother Eli Soriano. Brother Eli?
Good day, everyone, and good day, Sister Luz. As we continue discussing this topic, which is, may I point out to our listeners and viewers This may seem a very unusual topic to others, especially when we are speaking of the church. You see, every minister, every writing of every church that exists now, that I have read, Sister Luz, always start the history of their church in Matthew 16:18. They believe that it was the start of the church, but it is not so. There is a church in the New or in the Old Testament times. It started way back during the time of Moses, when the Israelites were with him at the foot of Mount Sinai. The Bible calls them the church in the wilderness. Let us be reminded of that verse in the book of Acts chapter 7 verse 38. This is he that was in the church in the wilderness with the angel which spake to him in the Mount Sinai. Meaning, as early as the time of Moses, there was already a church existing. And this is called the church in the wilderness, and that is the Israelites, yes. That as we have studied. But we have gone back to the time of the Israelites, and we have witnessed a very tragic history
that happened
of the people of Israel. There came a time that this church or congregation were scattered, ruined, destroyed, had fallen down because of the iniquities of their leaders.
Yes.
And as we have touched a little during the last time of our discussion, God willed it that this chosen people, this church, will not be forever under ruins, but God will build it, Sister Luz.
Yes.
You see, the Bible is not using the word rebuild or you see the use of the primary meaning of the prefix re, which comes from Latin, is again. Re combines chiefly with verbs as rearrange, rebuild, recall, remake, rerun, rewrite. The prefix has been used with this meaning extensively in English since the 1600s.
Oh.
So you cannot find it in the Bible. You cannot expect Moses or God or the prophets of old using the word rebuild.
Yes.
But actually, there are ruins, and that was the people of Israel. The church has been ruined by the cruelty of their leaders,
Shepherds,
and the
yes.
church was scattered. It has fallen down according to the Bible. So, if we are going to use the term rebuild in our time, it will be appropriate in the minds of those people who are acquainted in using the prefix re,
Yes.
by implying that it will be built again. But in the Bible, re is not used, Sister Luz.
Because it exists only in the 1600s.
It was used only extensively in the 1600s of our common era. So, what we can read in the Bible is that God will raise again. Again. Let us turn to the prophecy in the book of Amos chapter 9 verse 11.
In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old.
You see, that implies that there come a day in the future after the prophecy of Amos was written that the tabernacle of David, which was symbolic of the entire congregation of Israel, that is fallen according to that prophecy, the Lord will raise up.
Yes.
And He will close the breaches thereof, and will raise up its ruins. The prophecy did not use the word